Hello, I'm Sarah from slimhappyandeating.com, and I'm here today to answer a question that I get asked lots and lots on my Facebook page. And that question is, what exactly is clean eating? So I'm going to keep it really, really short and really, really simple today. And I'm going to start with a tiny bit of science just to help explain it. And that is that certain foods, especially grains and especially sugars, activate the reward pathways in our brains. And the general principle behind that is that the more refined or the more processed a food is, the more addictive it will be. And this is because the more processed a food is, it will be more easily digested by us. So the quicker it'll be to get into our systems. We don't have to do very much work to actually digest it. And that triggers a higher insulin response, which triggers the reward pathways in our brain. And what that means is we'll very quickly want more of what we've just eaten. I hope that makes sense. So, what is clean eating? Well, at the very core of clean eating, the biggest principle is to eat food in its most natural state, or as close to it as possible. So what I mean by that is if we taught a spaceman who's never been to Earth before, so an alien, if we brought him down to Earth and showed him what an apple was, we showed him, pointed to an apple tree with an apple hanging off it and said that's an apple, he would then know what an apple is. If we then showed him a glass of apple juice, do you think he would be able to easily recognise that that came from the apple? Probably not. Because a glass of apple juice has been through several processes and stages of production. So a glass of apple juice doesn't really resemble an apple in its most natural state. And another example could be a potato. So if you have a think about a potato when it's dug out of the ground, it looks like, well, a potato. If you then showed the spaceman a crinkly, cheesy crisp, do you think that he would recognise that as that potato? Probably not. Again, it's been through several stages of production. And that is the biggest principle of clean eating. So to eat whole foods in their most natural state as possible, or as close to it as possible. There are various other kind of principles that hang off that. If you choose to eat food in their most natural state as possible, you automatically satisfy some of the other principles of clean eating. So, for example, avoiding processed food. Well, if you're eating natural food, you're automatically avoiding processed foods. Another principle is to avoid refined sugars. Well, again, if you're eating food in its most natural state, you're automatically avoiding refined sugars. A couple of other principles might be to eat as many plant-based foods as possible, so avoiding animal-based products. There is a theory that clean eating involves eating 5 or 6 smaller meals a day rather than just 2 or 3 large ones. And cooking from scratch as much as possible. And again, that's another one that is kind of satisfied if you're eating whole foods in their most natural state. So you're automatically avoiding kind of ready meals and things like that. So clean eating is really, really simple. It's not a diet. It's not restrictive. You're actually adding more healthier stuff in. And I hope that's answered your question. And I'll be back again soon with more tips.